In the climactic confrontation on Mustafar, Obi-Wan Kenobi delivers one of the most philosophically loaded lines in Star Wars history: "Only a Sith deals in absolutes." This statement, meant to condemn Anakin's fall to the dark side, inadvertently exposes the profound hypocrisy and dangerous absolutist thinking that plagued the Jedi Order throughout the prequel trilogy. The irony is immediately apparent. Obi-Wan's declaration is itself an absolute statement. By claiming that only Sith deal in absolutes, he creates an absolute rule about absolutes, falling into the very trap he's condemning. This isn't merely a script-writing oversight, it's a brilliant revelation of the Jedi's fundamental blind spot that contributed to their destruction. Throughout the prequel trilogy, the Jedi consistently demonstrate absolutist thinking patterns that mirror those they attribute to the Sith. They speak in definitive terms about the nature of good and evil, the inevitability of the dark side's corruption, and their own moral superiority. Yoda's famous declaration that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, presents an absolute causal chain with no room for nuance or individual variation. The Jedi Code itself is built on absolutes. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. These aren't suggestions or guidelines, they're absolute principles that demand complete adherence. The Jedi view attachment as absolutely forbidden, emotions as inherently dangerous, and their own interpretation of the Force as the only correct one. This absolutist mindset becomes particularly dangerous when examining how the Jedi handle moral complexity. When faced with the ethical dilemmas of the Clone Wars, they consistently choose rigid adherence to their principles over flexible moral reasoning. They become generals in a galactic war while maintaining their peacekeepers, justifying this contradiction through absolute faith in their righteousness. Obi-Wan's specific relationship with absolutes reveals itself throughout his interactions with Anakin. He repeatedly speaks in definitive terms about what Anakin should do, how he should feel, and what his destiny entails. When Anakin expresses doubt or alternative perspectives, Obi-Wan often responds with absolute statements about right and wrong, leaving little room for the nuanced guidance a conflicted young man desperately needed. The tragedy of this absolutist thinking becomes clear when we examine what drives Anakin to the dark side. His fall isn't simply about choosing evil over good, it's about being caught between two absolutist worldviews that offering no middle ground. The Jedi demand absolute emotional detachment, while Anakin experiences profound love and fear. When he seeks help, he's met with absolute prohibitions rather than understanding and guidance. Palpatine's manipulation succeeds precisely because he offers Anakin what appears to be an alternative to Jedi absolutism, though it's merely another form of the same rigid thinking. The Sith don't actually represent freedom from absolutes, they represent different absolutes. Where Jedi preach absolute selflessness, Sith embrace absolute selfishness. Both sides trap their adherents in rigid ideological frameworks. The Mustafar duel represents the ultimate collision of these competing absolutisms. Anakin declares, "If you're not with me, then you're my enemy," expressing the Sith absolute of loyalty. Obi-Wan responds with his own absolute about absolutes, revealing that both former friends have become prisoners of inflexible thinking. What makes this particularly tragic is that both characters demonstrate capacity for nuanced thinking in other contexts. Obi-Wan shows compassion and flexibility throughout the Clone Wars, while Anakin displays remarkable empathy and moral complexity. Yet in this crucial moment, both retreat into absolutist positions that make reconciliation impossible. The broader implications extend beyond individual character flaws to systemic institutional problems within the Jedi Order. Their absolutist approach to training, their rigid hierarchy, and their unwillingness to question fundamental assumptions created an organization incapable of adapting to changing circumstances or addressing internal contradictions. This absolutist thinking also blinds the Jedi to alternative interpretations of prophecy and destiny. They assume the Chosen One must fulfill their expectations in their preferred manner, never considering that balance might require destruction of their rigid order. Their absolute faith in their own interpretation prevents them from seeing the larger picture. Ultimately, Obi-Wan's famous line serves as a mirror, reflecting the Jedi's own absolutist tendencies back at them. It reveals how moral certainty, even well-intentioned, can become a form of blindness that prevents genuine understanding and compassion. The Jedi's downfall wasn't simply due to Sith manipulation, it was enabled by their own rigid thinking patterns that left them vulnerable to the very absolutism they claimed to oppose.